had this intense desire within his heart to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to hand in his slip. He wanted to fill it out and say, I surrender. And Mahaprabhu was already far, far away, miles away. He had walked, and he realized that his devotee had now come to the Kurmakshetra, and he turned around and he went back. That's how attractive that mood of surrender is to Krishna. That wherever he is, he'll turn around and he'll come back for you. You'll never be lost. Krishna says in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, one who does good is never overcome by evil. You never become waylaid when you try to surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he came back, and when he saw this Vasudeva the leper, Mahaprabhu embraced him. And when Mahaprabhu embraced him, his body became beautiful. He was cured of his leprosy. And Vasudeva wanted to know, now what do I do? Because previously I was afflicted. And when you're afflicted, there's a way in which it's a lot easier sometimes to be humble and to see the good sense in opting out of the material world. But when you're situated nicely, you have a full tank of gas, you have money in the bank, you have all the food you need at home, everything's backed up, ready to go, got everything on an external hard drive. Then it's possible, one might think, I'm okay. And Queen Kunti warns against this. She says, Janmaishvarya Shruta Shribir Edamada Madapuman Naivar Yabidatum Vai Toma Kinchana Gocharam. Don't become intoxicated by anything. This is the art, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmanyadaya Kaman Sarvan Partamanogatan Atman Yevatmanatushta. What is the last line? He says that that the devotee lives in the world like a lotus flower that is in the water but is not touched by the water. Kaina manasa buddhya kevalerindriyarapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyakbat mashudhaye. That and the yogi, the devotee, can engage all of his senses in it, but because they're engaged only for Krishna, he doesn't become attached. He's in the world but not attached to it. So Vasudeva had now become beautiful, and he was worried because he thought, how will I be a kinchan? As Queen Kunti says, be a kinchan, be without anything. Don't think you have any qualification. Jamuna Devi Dasi, who recently left us, used to preach heavily against this idea of entitlement. Entitlement. Can you look it up? Entitlement, this idea that I deserve something. I've been around long enough, I deserve whatever, fill in the blank. And I've paid my dues. Yeah, that someone might say, I paid my dues, I worked hard, now you should pay me. This is antithetical to the actual spiritual mentality of a kinchana gotra, that I don't have anything, I don't have any qualification. One should always keep oneself as a fool. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm murka, I'm fool. Before one's spiritual master, before the exalted devotees, one should feel oneself, I'm a fool. Don't act like a fool, but feel oneself like a fool. And in that way, one can attain spiritual knowledge. So, as we already discussed, and what is the meaning of entitlement?
There's the word entitle.
Okay.
So it means to give a name or title to furnish with a right claim to something. And then it comes from medieval Latin, which is intitulare.
Which means?
Which means title, entitled.
It's a title, it's a claim. The sense of entitlement. Yeah, so I have a claim. I have a rightful claim. But Queen Kunti said, the only way that you can make a claim is if you're a kinchan. You don't claim anything. This is the proper mentality for spiritual life. You say, I don't claim anything. I don't claim any knowledge. I don't claim any status. And certainly I don't claim anything from my material side as a qualification for getting something from the Lord, some mercy. So Vasudeva said, now what do I do? I've become beautiful. Shrutadev. You better give him the mic. He's speaking Bengali back there.
Prabhu kahe, so Lord Chaitanya said, Kabhu tumar, now I'm going to forget it. Prabhu kahe, Kabhu tumar nahabe abhiman, narantara kahatumi, Krishna Krishna nam. So Lord Chaitanya, so Vasudeva worried that he'd become proud after becoming saved by Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhu kahe, Lord Chaitanya said, if you want to become free from all unnecessary pride, abhiman, narantara kahatumi, Krishna Krishna nam.
Always chant Krishna name. And then he also told him to preach Krishna consciousness. Because if you do these two things, if you chant Hare Krishna and you preach Krishna consciousness, that'll keep you humble. Because when you go out and you teach it to other people, you'll find people all the time who will you got to try hard enough, but they'll strenuously object. Even people who are interested. I've had this experience of people, especially people who are interested, because then when they feel safe to reveal what's actually in their heart, what's blocking them, then you have to deal with it. If you're actually interested in helping them, you go out and you teach people, and then they take an interest, and externally they'll look very excited, and then they'll reveal to you, and they'll say, okay, this is what's blocking me. This is the problem. I don't believe in this, and this, and what's wrong with that, and this. And then you have to fix it for them, because you're their Shiksha Guru. And because of that, you have to fix your own Siddhanta. That's what forces you to become alacritus, eagerly alert, when the philosophy comes around, because you have a need for it. If you don't have a need for it, it may be like, okay. But if you're actually hungry, that you need this stuff. I have to take this partly because I have to give it to somebody else, and partly because I have to fill my own gaps. Then it becomes, there's an urgency, and that helps. So constantly chanting Hare Krishna with no sense of proprietorship or entitlement, and going out and teaching other people for their own benefit, and also thinking that I'm doing this for my own purification. And never becoming condescending. That is, thinking that I'm in a sect, I'm in a religion, I'm in a group, therefore I know better than everybody else. This is also detrimental, not only to your relationship, developing relationships with other people, but also for transferring knowledge in a proper way. We should approach people in a way that we preserve their dignity and realize that we are also in a similar situation, or coming from a similar situation that they're in, and not become think oneself exalted or better than others. How is everybody? Fantastic. Huh? Oh no, how's that going to work? Okay. Malati, are you leaving too? Are you two going together? Okay. Well, could you lead a kirtan for a few minutes while I talk to Nirkula? And then I'll come back, and then you both can leave. Yeah? 1 second, though, so we don't have any. Just wait 1 sec. Are you leaving? Yeah, you're free to leave. We want to thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we would look forward to coming again because we have a commitment. We have to go somewhere. We'll be
No
coming
problem.
again next time.
It's a free temple. Anytime you can come late or leave early. And one thing is, just please remember this: we're always happy to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Very happy to see you. Did you give your number? You can give to. He'll take you. He'll make sure you get prashad, and he'll take your email so you can know when things are happening. Okay. Thank you for coming. You made our day. It was fantastic to have you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. What are your names? Samita. Samyukta. Samyukta. Ujjwal. Wow. Okay. Haribol. And this is your set of Chaitanya Charitamritas that we'd like to give you as a gift.
Thank you so much.
If you study each day a little bit from that book, along your other studies will become more meaningful.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Actually, it'll be the other way around, but I don't want to scare them.
Okay, say Malati.
Thank you.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Nice to see you.
Yeah, there was an, there was a nice.
See you soon. Come back. Haribol.
You can come back this evening.
We just made a resolution this morning and Mahaprabhu is sending two in curious souls.
Okay, Malati.
You were speaking about not becoming proud of what we know and how we deliver it. And there was a nice class the other day in Vrindavan where they were discussing how, maybe it was in Mayapur, everything's kind of a blur, but Mahaprabhu, when he was defeating that so-called Digavijay, and after, Mahaprabhu was just a young person, and the Digavijay was senior to him in age and very learned. And Mahaprabhu first sat and listened to him. And then he'd composed a endless verse on the Ganga, glorifying the Ganges. And then Mahaprabhu complimented him. And then he mentioned, he actually started disseminating the efforts of this Digavijay. But he did it in such a way that even though it could have been very humiliating, because this person was so learned, who was this young person, he did it in such a way that it was kind-hearted. He wasn't like, smashing him. And so that the person was not feeling ashamed or embarrassed in a negative way. And in fact, he said, it's getting late right now. Perhaps you want to go take a rest, take something to eat. He was speaking like that. So when that person left, he started reflecting upon the whole entire incident, and he realized Mahaprabhu was not only correct, but actually he should surrender to Mahaprabhu, which he did, and became his disciple. But because Mahaprabhu's demeanor and manner was that of a gentleman instead of an aggressor, then he was able to win his heart. And today we're talking about winning hearts.
I like that, winning hearts. It's the next seminar. Thank you,
Sometimes,
Malati.
it's necessary to, attack Prabhupada. Sometimes you have to smash. Some people, if they're not prepared to listen, you have to either defeat them or go away. If you're able to defeat them, that's good.
Okay, now lead the kirtan. And then, please, and then I'll be right back.
Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Kaskasya Desatarane Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to you, Prabhupada. You are friend. All glories to you, Prabhupada. You are friend. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Mahotsava ki Jai. Hari Hari Bol.
Now you can all say you had a Gaura Purnima Kirtan with Malati. Hare Krishna.
Now I can say that I've had all of your mercy.
There's a different meadow.
Oh, right.
So we read that how when we serve the spiritual master, the mercy flows. But I want to understand, we also see that there is someone who has done tremendous amount of service and melted the heart of the spiritual master, and we could see the rapid progress that they make. But then they reach to a point where, like as you call that, biting the hand that feeds. So when we see that, we are totally bewildered. So what is it that they missed, that they had to do that kind of grievous offense at that after progressing for so long? And in such a period of time, how can one be not grateful and do that mistake? So what should we avoid so that we don't get into that trap?
So 2 questions. The soul has independence and can choose to rebel and bite the hand. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The gain needs to go down just a tiny bit, I think. Just a tiny bit on. So from a marginal position, you can misuse your independence. And we should not become over familiar. And when approaching a spiritual master, Shastra says it's like approaching a fire. And if you get too close, you'll get burned. But on the other hand, if you get too far away, you won't get the benefit. So you have to be vigilant, that means. You have to judge what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. I mean, some people, they become too familiar. Familiarity can breed contempt. And then someone can think, oh, he's just like me or whatever, and then, disregard the relationship altogether. And Prabhupada points this out in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the story of his servant, Kala Krishnadas, who had accompanied him, that is, accompanied Mahaprabhu. And while serving Mahaprabhu, he became attracted to some Bhattaharis who were kind of gypsies and attracted him away. And so Prabhupada said, even in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, there's a way in which if one's not vigilant, it can make some kind of offense and fall down. Possible. So vigilance is important, and not becoming over familiar. To remain in a position as a humble servant, because sometimes the servant wants to become the master. We have to be aware of envy. That if there's envy within the heart, that one can then envy the position of the spiritual master or the one who's teaching, and then want to assume that position or something like that. So you have to be careful. And sometimes people go through different phases in their spiritual development. They become envious and estranged, and then they make amends later for different reasons. That happens. And then they rectify the situation and they come back. And sometimes there's the way in which they're closer then, because they've already gone through that kind of ordeal. Pardon?
It's like a situation where you have to go through it. Is it preordained?
Well, no. I'm in the case of somebody becoming envious. It's not preordained. It's because there's a misuse of independence. Yes?
One more thing I was also understanding, just wanted to add that it really, whatever happens at the part of the disciple, but whatever happens, because the spiritual master is always giving, it really glorifies the spiritual master, like how even when after so much trouble, if they come back, like even if we see in Prabhupada's instances, like he's willing to give the same position as they were before. So it really exemplifies the merciful nature of the spiritual master.
If one is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the summum bonum and chief aim of life. This is Canto 5, Chapter 5, text number 15. If he is a father instructing his sons, A spiritual master instructing his disciples, or a king instructing his citizens, he must instruct them as I have advised. Without being angry, he should continue giving instructions even if his disciple, son, or citizen is sometimes unable to follow his order. Ignorant people who engage in pious and impious activities should be engaged in devotional service by all means. They should avoid fruitive activity. If one puts into bondage of karmic activity his disciple, son, or citizen who is bereft of transcendental vision, how will one profit? It is like leading a blind man into a dark well and causing him to fall in. There's another reason that sometimes people swerve from their dedication, and that is by association. I always think that I find shocking and scary the pastime of mantra and Kaikei. When Kaikei is so much, her heart is so much invested in Ram, and very happy to see him coronated as the regent king. And so mantra begins speaking to her, and by her envious association, temporarily, it's temporary, Kaikei becomes influenced. And by association, there's a way in which we can pick up that kind of envious nature in somebody else's heart. Therefore, it's really important how we associate like-minded devotees and those who are not envious. If we get that kind of association, it can actually deter us temporarily. It's another cause. Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about over familiarity sometimes could lead to a problem. Can you just please elaborate?
To what? Lead to what? To contempt?
Yeah. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more? Because, there would be curiosity in the brain to kind of know more about the guru, or it's as a bad thing, or I'm just trying to...
Well, there's two moods that Rupa Goswami says are there in the guru and disciple relationship. One is Vishramba, which means sort of a friendship, and the other one is reverence. And so there's a balance of those two things. If you just, hey man, how you doing? Can I have some of that? There's a way in which, the two levels, the spiritual master is playing a role, and you're playing a role too in order to benefit. There's generations. Water flows down through, from one level to the next. And if I try to even those things out through just complete familiarity, like you see in the case of Arjuna, at first he was just like, hey, come on, drive me over there. They were just buddies. But Prabhupada notes, and we can see for ourselves by reading the Bhagavad Gita, how when he was in trouble and he wanted to actually have a spiritual relationship as a spiritual master and disciple, Arjuna said, okay, no more friendship. I'm your... I mean, of course, the friendship is always there, but it changed. They changed roles. Said, okay, now you're my teacher. Now I'm getting down here. We're not on the same level. And if you forget that and you start and become too familiar, means that you don't respect the post like that. It's not that you can't be curious and find out things about your spiritual master. I mean, one would be interested in such things because they could be informative. The life of a teacher should be informative, as or more important than his or her words, practically, right? But it's just the mood. It's the mood in which you approach, because then you could lose that goodwill, and that is that somebody's extending something's giving you something, you're taking charity, something's being passed down. And I notice it, just like I have Kinchana Krishnadas, who's our Madanga teacher in Vrindavan, that, just as far as our relationship within the society of devotees, he's junior to me. But whenever I go to learn from him, my heart and my mind and my demeanor is like, okay, you're my teacher. Now I'm down here, for the sake of teaching, he'll also assume that role. But if you just try to even it all out, then you can lose something, and also you can develop a sense that I already know everything, and you can't learn from anybody actually in that situation. Does that help? Okay. Yes.
So in those type of situations, which one is correct? To have, to always treat the Guru with awe and reverence, or to be on friendship level?
Well, it's not a mechanical process. It's really based on a relationship, and it differs from one relationship to the next. Sometimes, a spiritual master will have a different relationship with each kind of devotee, and vice versa, because people have differences. They're in different moods and so forth. And according to how the relationship develops, you should be very sensitive and react appropriately to the relationship. Just like in any other relationship, when you're developing a relationship, you're sort of seeing, okay, how does it go? How do we relate to one another? And there are intricacies that go along with that. So you have to be astute and see what's the proper way. Because if you're always in awe and reverence, and then that person, your teacher, wants a minute of levity or something like that, and you're like, nope, can't go there. That's not service either. There's a way in which a teacher may want you to react in a certain way, or to be more familiar at a certain time and not at another time when there's something more serious going on. Okay? Yes.
Maharaj, one observation and one question about Kekai and Manthara. Like you said, that Kekai was so much in the mode of goodness, and she had no objection to Ram, who was not her son, becoming the heir to the throne. And then association with Manthara quickly brought her into the mode of ignorance. So how slippery it is, the mode of goodness. It's so easy to fall down, but once you go down to the mode of ignorance, you stay there for a long time. It's very difficult to get out of that, back to the mode of goodness. That was just an observation. My question was that you said that to avoid envy, you avoid association of mantra type of people, and then get into good association. So 2 questions over here. The first is that how to handle if your own mind is your mantra. And the second question is that how does association with people who are not envious affect you? Are there some saffron particles of non-envy that come to you, or how are you
Answer
purified?
the second question first. Yes. And the first question is that you have to observe that the mind can be the friend or the enemy, and be careful how you're dealing with the mind. When the mind's purified, the Avanti Brahman says that the mind can become your Shiksha Guru. Not the Avanti Brahman, but the Avaduta Brahman has said that, or Krishna actually says in relationship to the Avaduta Brahman, that the mind that becomes one's friend becomes one's Shiksha Guru also. The mind and the intelligence can guide us. But when it's contaminated, we have to be careful to not take direction from the mind or the intellect, but to take direction from the Shastra and from the spiritual master. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That's why we're guided in that way.
So what would be some steps that you would recommend to practice? Because when the mind is already telling you these things, you're already slipping down into the mode of ignorance.
Well, it's like in that prayer that I quote so often, Kamadinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesham jata mayina karuna natrapa no pashanti utsri jaitanata yadupate samprata labda bhuris tvamayata sharanam abhayam mamnyunkshvatmadasye. This devotee is saying that now I've awakened my intelligence. My intelligence really has become awakened by good association. And now I'm giving up the bad masters. So there's a conscious decision. You can see that there's the bad masters in the mind when it's in a contaminated state, and then you can also see that I'm getting good direction from my mentors. And you have to learn to discriminate. It's necessary. Evam buddhi param buddva samstabhyatmanamatmana jahi shatra mahabaho kamarupa durasadam. Krishna says to Arjuna that you have to use your buddhi. It's required. The intelligence is required to conquer over the lower self. So you have to discriminate. Yes?
Thank you. A similar question like this was answered by Devamrit Maharaj. He was saying that the same point that you're mentioning about guidance. He said, guidance is the opulence of bhakti. So he said, one should always be guided. When he's in proper guidance, and there is very less chance that he may succumb to the mind. And I'm also remembering Bhishma Dev's instructions when he tells at the time of his passing away, when the Pandavas go to meet him, he tells that all like you've been through so many disturbances and sufferings, but because you were guided by the Brahmanas, the Supreme Lord, and the religious principles, you were able to overcome it. So from that, I could understand that these tests are there in our lives all the time. And when we take the instructions of such Mahajans like Bhishma Dev, and when we put ourselves under the guidance of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, then we are protected strongly. And there's very less chance that... but if we rely on our own strength, then it weakens us. Whereas we take protection of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, then we are under strong protection. And in fact, there's no chance that we may end up doing something out of Krishna consciousness.
Good point. I like guidance is the opulence of bhakti, and I like your last statement about how if you keep yourself in that situation, under that guidance, then you won't slip and fall. It's not that it just happens accidentally, but there's a way in which I misuse my intelligence. I say misuse independence, that sounds a little abstract, but I'll misuse my intelligence and use it for something that takes me outside the guidance. And then I can fall victim. I can become victimized. But if one keeps oneself fortified by always taking shelter of the holy name and staying under good guidance, no matter what the situation, then one won't slip and fall and become victimized. In fact, that's something that the Yogendras say to Maharaj Nimi in the very outset of their teachings, that in Bhagavad Bhakti, this direct process of taking shelter of Krishna, that even if one runs with one's eyes closed, one won't slip and fall. Because Krishna rectifies a devotee from within who is sincerely trying. And this is mentioned also later by Karabhajana Muni, who says that even if vikarma yachchot patitam katanchid tunoti sarvam hridi sannivishtaha, even if there's some vikarma by accident, just happens by chance, he says. It's not intentional. By past habit, because I used to do a certain thing, and then all of a sudden I'm around that environment, and somehow or other it slips into it. Krishna helps to rectify the situation within the heart, because the devotee's taken shelter. And so we have to we have to be vigilant and not give Maya an opportunity. And Prabhupada said it's like a salesman coming door to door. You don't want to open the door. In fact, even if you talk through the door. Because I remember one time I was going door to door, and there was this couple. They went inside, and they already closed the door. Actually, they were already inside, and I knocked on the door, and they said, "We're not interested." And I said, "Hey, where are you from?" Because I noticed an accent. And they were from South America, some part. So I started speaking a little bit in Spanish. And then there was silence. Then they said something else. So I said something else. And pretty soon they opened the door. Like, "I got you." Then they had to buy a book, which they're happy to do. But I was thinking how if you engage with Maya, and you just a little bit, she's talking through the door even, and you start listening and go, "Well, no, it's okay." And then she goes, "Oh, you said that so nicely, you know." "But where are you from anyway, kid?" You know, and then it's like, "All right, just open it a little bit." And then next thing you know, she's got her foot in the door, and next thing you know, she moves in. And so she's very expert, Maya. So the trick is not to open the door. Don't even talk through the door. Just pretend like you're not home. Turn out the lights. Get under the couch, you know. Then you'll be saved. Let's read a little more Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're searching for a heart of gold and finding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has stolen the mood and luster of Srimati Radharani in her heart and is giving it to the whole world. And we have so far made it to the first paragraph in one purport. This is verse number 5. Adi 2:5. Second paragraph. The beginning of spiritual enlightenment. Welcome, by the way. We're so happy to have you here on Gaura Purnima. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. The beginning of spiritual enlightenment is realization of impersonal Brahman. Such realization is effected by gradual negation of material variegatedness. Impersonal Brahman realization is the partial, distant experience of the absolute truth that one achieves through the rational approach. It is compared to one's seeing a hill from a distance and taking it to be a smoky cloud. A hill is not a smoky cloud, but it appears to be one from a distance because of our imperfect vision. In imperfect or smoky realization of the absolute truth, spiritual variegatedness is conspicuous by its absence. In imperfect or smoky realization of the absolute truth, spiritual variegatedness is conspicuous by its absence. This experience is therefore called Advaitavad, or realization of the oneness of the absolute. The impersonal glowing effulgence of Brahman consists only of the personal bodily rays of the Supreme Godhead, Sri Krishna. Since Sri Gaura Sundar, or Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is identical with Sri Krishna himself, the Brahman effulgence consists of the rays of his transcendental body. Similarly, the Supersoul, which is called the Paramatma, is a plenary representation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Antaryami, the Supersoul in everyone's heart, is the controller of all living entities. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, wherein Lord Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto mataksmitir jnanam apohanam cha Vedishta sarvir ahameva vedyo vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham. I have good news for everybody. Shubhra has just entered the temple room. And that also means other good news is just following, which means CC is on his way too. And he also states, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, indicating that the Supreme Lord, acting in his expansion as the Supersoul, is the proprietor of everything. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita 5:35, we get Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. The Lord is present everywhere, within the hearts of every living entity and within each and every atom as well. Thus, by this supersoul feature, the Lord is all-pervading. Furthermore, Lord Chaitanya is also the master of all wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because he is Sri Krishna himself. He is described as Purna, or complete, in the feature of Lord Chaitanya. The Lord is an ideal renouncer, just as Sri Ram was an ideal king. Lord Chaitanya accepted the order of sannyas and exemplified exceedingly wonderful principles in his own life. No one can compare to him in the sannyas, order of sannyas. Although in Kali Yuga acceptance of the sannyas order is generally forbidden, Lord Chaitanya accepted it because he is complete in renunciation. Others cannot imitate him, but can only follow in his footsteps as far as possible. Those who are unfit for this order of life are strictly forbidden by the injunctions of the Shastras to accept it. Lord Chaitanya, however, is complete in renunciation as well as other opulences, all other opulences. He is therefore the highest principle of the Absolute Truth. By an analytical study of the truth of Lord Chaitanya, one will find that he is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. No one is greater than or even equal to him. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:7, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Matak paratanam nanyat kinchirasti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Thus it is here confirmed that there is no truth higher than Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. The impersonal Brahman is the goal of those who cultivate the study of books and transcendental knowledge, and the supersoul is the goal of those who perform yoga practices. One who knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead surpasses realization of both Brahman and Paramatma, because Bhagavan is the ultimate platform of absolute knowledge. The Personality of Godhead is the complete form of Satchidananda, full life, knowledge, and bliss. By realization of the Sat portion of the complete whole, unlimited existence, one realizes the impersonal Brahman aspect of the Lord. By realization of the Chit portion of the complete whole, unlimited knowledge, one can realize the localized aspect of the Lord, the Paramatma. But neither of these partial realizations of the complete whole can help one realize Ananda or complete bliss. Without such realization of Ananda, knowledge of the Absolute Truth is incomplete. This verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is confirmed by a parallel statement in the Tattva Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami in the 9th part of the Tattva Sandarbha. Which part?
9th part.
Correct. It is said that the Absolute Truth is sometimes approached as impersonal Brahman, which, although spiritual, is only a partial representation of the Absolute Truth. Narayan, the predominating deity in Vaikuntha, is to be known as an expansion of Sri Krishna, but Sri Krishna is the Supreme Absolute Truth, the object of the transcendental love of all living entities. And that last sentence really consolidates what we just heard. Because what we heard is the Lord has various features. And what are they? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But what does that mean to us? There's knowing, being, and loving. And so these three aspects of the Lord, he knows everything. Okay. He exists everywhere. He exists eternally. But what is the Ananda part? It's the loving. We can't subsist simply on knowing or just being. When you're in Brahman realization, you just are. But that's not enough. You may free yourself from the material world, for instance, and enter into the Brahman. This is compared to sometimes like somebody who works for Home Depot, and they don't like it. So they go on strike. And then they say, no more work, we don't like to work, we quit, temporarily, because we want better pay or whatever. So they're on strike, but it means they're out of work, they're not working anymore, but sooner or later they got to go back to work. So aruya krishena parampadam tata patantyato nadrita yushmarangraya. The Srimad Bhagavatam says that somebody who hasn't attained this loving feature of the Lord, simply has quit working in the material world and simply existing, can't sustain because it's the nature of the soul to experience ananda. And there's not enough ananda in the material world to do it for us. The amount of ananda, oh, she's still here. Can we have Ragini? Thanks. Okay. She thinks she'll get it, but once Mukar Vinda is activated, he can't be stopped. So we have to have ananda, and the ananda in the material world is compared by Jayadev Goswami to be existing but not enough. It's like when you're thirsty and someone says, sure, I'll give you water, and then they pull out an eyedropper. And they say, here's one drop of water. Now you can take it to court, and say, it's not enough water. It's water, but you can't say it's not water. He gave you the water, right? But it's just not enough. So in the material world, everything's mixed up. You only get mixed happiness. Mixed happiness. Temporary happiness and mixed happiness, which is no happiness at all. The real standard is ananda. That means anandam buddhivardhanam. It's ever expanding, blissful. And what we're really after in ananda is a loving relationship. So we get that with Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Puja.
So Prabhuji, you were talking about knowing about the Brahman and then Paramatma Bhagavan. So similarly in my English class, my teacher had told us about a learning triangle, and it was formulated by this educator, and it showed knowledge was the base, and then it was comprehension, and then application, and then it goes all the way up to synthesis, where you can kind of really apply it at the highest level. So Brahman realization is kind of like the basic knowledge, and as you go higher, then you come to Ananda. It's like where you really apply your knowledge.
I'd like to see that triangle. That's really interesting. And can you also give a verse that says that who's the basis of Brahman? Brahmano hi pratishtaham. You know that one?
No, I don't.
That's a really nice point. And I like how you're seeing from various other aspects of your studies how you're seeing parallels. It's a really important way to think. It means Shastra Shakshus. So that when you're studying and everything, this is one of the ways to be fortified in one's life. Vidyam cha yas tad vedo bayam saha avidyayam ritum tirtva vidyayam ritum ashnute means that although you're engaged in activities which may be considered nescient because they're not apparently connected to Krishna, your intelligence is always connecting them to Krishna. You're always seeing how does this connect to the philosophy. And we saw that in the Avaduta Brahman, how he observed in nature all things teaching him about Krishna, and in all kinds of ways that even we see in Maya, lessons that are bringing us closer to Krishna. Nice point, Puja. Everyone satisfied with that, or do you have more about Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, Ananda? Yes?
The Bhagwan feature encompasses both the Sat and Chit feature, or it is just Anand?
Yeah, everything's there complete. Om Purnam Madak Purnamidam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Everything is perfectly complete in the absolute personality of Godhead, including His. Because everything has to be there. So you can't exist without knowing you exist. Yes. Otherwise, what's the use of it?
How do you equate the Paramatma to being, that part?
Because Paramatma is the omniscient aspect of the Lord. He's all-pervading. He's within everyone's heart. he's the witness of everything that's going on. Interesting that Bhagavan, Krishna, there's some debate about what he hears from us. Of course, Paramatma's there. He's mentioned in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita how he's always witnessing and overseeing our activities and sanctioning. He's the sanctioner. I'm desiring, and he's saying, okay, this, that. Don't do it, but if you really insist, okay, here's the car keys, But, so he especially in our embodied state, the Paramatma is always there observing and sanctioning and so forth. But where's Krishna, our Ishtadev, in the spiritual world? Practically he's absorbed in his Leela. So there's some debate about, does he actually hear our prayers? Who's hearing our prayers? Paramatma, or is it Bhagavan who's actually hearing what we're praying? And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, no, he can hear because he has all aspects. That he's all at once. He has the capacity to be oblivious and fully aware at the same time. And therefore, our sincere prayers, he says, do go through and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Paramatma is especially the neutral witness, samaham sarvabhuteshu, just observing and as the overseeing consciousness of the material world. Yes.
A few days back, I went to Balram Sri Krishna Mandir at near Great America. There, somebody is told that Narayana is different from Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Could you I request you to kindly throw some light on that?
Well, do you have a profession?
I'm a bank manager.
A bank manager. How do you dress when you go into the bank?
Oh, I retired from the bank recently.
When you were working for the bank, how did you dress?
In India.
Huh? Did you wear a tie?
Pardon?
When you went into the bank as a bank manager, did you wear a tie?
Yes.
You had to wear a tie?
Yes, earlier.
Okay, and when you're at home, and do you have kids?
Yes.
Do you wear a tie when you're playing with your kids?
No.
Okay, so when Narayan is working, because he's related to the material world, so he has a certain kind of opulence and the way he's maintaining the material world, and he has a certain dress.
Yes.
And Krishna, he's barefoot, and he has a flute. Prabhupada said flute means he's all play and no work. So they're the same. There's no difference between Narayan and Krishna. They're just in different moods. So they're doing different things. So Krishna is just playing, and he's enjoying, and he's loving. And Narayan, he's working and maintaining and so many other things. And there's a way in which there's reverence in the world of in work, right? When you go to work, they say yes sir, no sir, and so forth. And in Vaikuntha, there's this kind of reverence towards Narayan also, different mood. Otherwise, they're the same. This Shastra says, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvanesha Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That the Supreme is expanding himself unlimitedly in many different avatars. And then they're described. Diparchareva hira shantanamabhyapetya, dipayate vravitaheta samana dharma, yastadrageva hicha vishnu chaya vibhati govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. There's one original candle, and it lights other candles. The flame is the same, but there's still one original candle.
Okay.
Then if you become more technical about the mood, the different mood of Narayan and Krishna, then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, he met Venkatabhatta. And there, Venkatabhatta was worshipping Lord Narayan. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a joking way, he was just spent a few months with him there. And in a joking way, he would say, so, why is it that Lakshmi Devi, we have Artik now, why is it the Lakshmi, to be continued. We'll have Darshan, and then we'll finish your question. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. TBC. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki jai. Go Premanande Hari. Hare Krishna. This got to turn off. Or this got to turn. Vajabhakatava Salashi Gaura Hari. Vajabhakatava Salashi Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he Gosta Bihari. Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari. Vajabhakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Vajabhakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Belo Halo Damodara Aisha Ekona. Boga Mandire Basi Koroho Bojana. Nandera Nideshi Vaisi Giri Varadhari. Baladeva Sahasaka Vaisi Sari Sari. Shukta Shakari Bhaji Nalita Kushmanda. Dali Tadna Dugda Tumbi Dadi Mochi Kanda. Vajabhakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Gaura Hari. Vajabhakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes to Bihari. Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari. Mugda Bodha, gotta stay still. Mugda Bodha Masa Bodha Rotita Kritana. Shashkuli Pishtaka Kir Puli Payasana. Karpura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirasara. Amrita Rasala Amla Dvadasha Prakara. Luchi Chini Supari Ladu Rasabali. Bojana Korina Krishna Hoi Kukuhali. Radhikara Pakana Vivida Vyanjana. Paramanande Krishna Korina Bojana. Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Nanda Yashomati Shikha Hari. Chali Bali Ladu Kai Shimadu Mangala. Bagala Bajai Arodeo Hari Bolo. Radhikari Gane Heri Nayanera Kone. Tripta Hoy Kai Krishna Yashoda Bhavane. Bhojanante Piye Krishna Sabhishitak Bari. Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Hoy Sari Sari. Hasta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane. Anande Vishrama Kori Baladeva Sani. Bhajaba Kata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Bhajaba Kata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari. Jambula Rasala Ni Tambula Masala. Taha ke Krishna Chandra Sukhe Nidra Gela. Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamaradhulaya. Apurvashaya Krishna Sukhe Nivrajaya. Yashomati Agnape Danishta Anito. Shri Krishna Prasad Radha Punje Hoye Prito. Lalitari Saki Gana Avishesha Paya. Mane Mane Sukha Radhe Krishna Guna Gaya. Bhajaba Kata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Bhajaba Kata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Shri Gaura Hari, so he goes Hari Hari. Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari. Hari Lila Ak Matra Jahara Pramodam. Hari Arati Kai Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Vajapakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari Vajapakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari Shri Gaura Hari so he goes to Bihari Shri Gaura Hari so he goes to Bihari Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari Nanda Yashomati Chitta Hari Vajapakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari Vajapakata Vatsala Shri Gaura Hari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Bo Hare Bo Hare Bo Nitya Gaur Hare Bo Nitya Gaur Hare Bo Hare Bo Hare Bo Nitya Gaur Hare Bo Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Shri Gauranga Mahamotsava ki, Shri Gaura Purnima Mahamotsava ki, ISKCON ISV Dham ki, Go Premanandi.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद ए.सी. भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की जय नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा मई की जय, यमुना मई की जय, ब्रिंग द यमुना बैक टू वृंदावन नाव की जय, आनंद वर्धन कैंपेन की जय, मंथली संकीर्तन फेस्टिवल ऑफ बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So